Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody today? Excellent. Amanda, thank you for coming. Colleen, it's lovely to see you. I'm stalling a bit, so everybody that comes through, I'm just going to sit there and do that. Edmonton, you're looking great, Edmonton. Can you hear us? You're waving, that's cool. Shelter? Wave, Shelter, there you go. I don't know who that is in Red Deer, but we'll find out in a second. And oh, you should never, yeah, it's a student. But I should never turn my head because of the glare factor. So I won't say whose idea this was, but he got on a plane and left for Europe today, so you might be able to figure it out. But one of the things we wanted to do is talk about students and student positions a little bit today, and so we're going to do that. The idea was to have students available who were going to come up and they were going to share some of their stories. So we have one from the shelter, we have somebody from Red Deer. David's going to read a testimony that his student wrote about his experience, and then Brittany, who is not here yet, is going to talk a little bit about demo crew, right, and what that was like in terms of the students. So that's kind of what we got going today, and then we will close in prayer. So I'm going to ask the fellow from Red Deer who's up first. So introduce yourself, because I clearly forgot your name. Okay, he's talking, but there's no volume. Okay, we can't hear Red Deer. He's pouring out his heart, but there's nothing. So how do we get that fixed? Yeah, I think you have a mute button of some kind on. I can tell you my best golf joke over that. I feel bad for him now. Do you guys feel bad? Okay, Shelter, can you hear me?
Okay, so as most of you know, we obviously need a lot of help to do our job here, right? We could all agree with that. And our organization, our departments specifically, most of you know that I'm kind of by myself. So we are extremely dependent on our volunteers, our donors, our students, interns, practicums. And so I want to personally thank all of you. I don't know if this is being recorded or what's really going on, but that's okay. None of you are here, but I thank all of you in spirit, I guess, because we honestly cannot do what we do without them. And I do try to say that to any volunteer that I come across. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, two are better than one, because they have a better return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them. Should I just keep going? Okay. Many of he just wrote something for me to read. So this isn't awkward at all. My summer intern, this is David Ross. This is his letter to us. My summer internship in spiritual care under Chaplain David S. has been a great experience for many reasons. Firstly, I feel like I have learned a great deal, especially in the area of giving compassionate and helpful pastoral care. This was the main area that I wanted to personally progress in during this time, and I feel that this has definitely taken place by having the opportunity to participate in some of Chaplain David's pastoral care meetings. The opportunity to preach at the Atypical Church service 3 times throughout the summer was also a great experience for me. I feel like I grew personally in my sermon writing and preaching, and I also feel like I made an impact in the lives of some of those who were listening. So he has 2 quick stories about 2 people that he worked with. The biggest highlight for me from the entire internship was the relationships that I have built with 2 specific guests this summer. One of them, living in the 1010 building, has been having a very difficult time in life lately, so it was a great privilege to get to know him in such a meaningful way. He said that he has been very impacted by my sermons over the course of the summer, which was very encouraging for me. We also prayed together on one occasion where he fully rededicated his life to Christ, which is why we're here, right? That's awesome. In the other key relationship that I developed over the course of this internship, I got to put into practice the things I had been learning from Chaplain David about giving excellent pastoral care. The key was lots of attentive, compassionate listening. I'm very thankful that I was given the opportunity to connect with the guests in a way that I know edified both of us. Sincerely, David Ross. So these are the impacts we're having on.
Okay, Shelter, can you hear me? So is your student ready to go? I don't know if that's a yes or a no. What are you guys taking that as? There we go.
Good to go. Hi there, I am Laura Sterling. I have been working at the shelter for the summer. I'm the summer intern. And so it's been a true blessing for me to work at the shelter over the summer. God has blessed me with a caring, supportive team to work alongside. I have learned much watching the different ways that everyone interacts with the guests and how they perform their tasks. I have engaged in meaningful discussions around homelessness, drug addiction, poverty, and even had a few impromptu Bible studies. How refreshing it is to interact with coworkers and talk about Jesus and how he's moving in our lives and the lives of our guests. By far the most meaningful and interesting times for me have been the opportunities that I've had to connect with the guests at the shelter. I really enjoy sharing conversation with our guests. These times have been so valuable to me, and they really give me an inside look at the life issues that these people have faced prior to coming to into the shelter. I've been able to understand it at a level, honestly, that I could never, ever be taught in college. Every day, God reminds me of the human beings behind the issues of homelessness, and he's breathed his compassion into me every day so that I could share it with those that were staying here. Being a frontline worker in the shelter has actually reminded me a lot of some of the mission trips that I've taken, and I realized without Jesus, this job would really, truly, very easily burn somebody out, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Initially, the hardest thing for me actually was getting used to standing and walking around for 8 hours a shift. Every day I would drive here to work and I would humbly acknowledge this, that physically I am getting a little up in my years. So it was a little hard on my body, and I had to ask God for his strength. I also asked at the same time for his wisdom and his guidance to fulfill my duties and my calling every day during my shift. The other day I shared a seat on the bus coming from downtown with a guest, and he talked to me about his alcohol addiction. He actually joked a lot about it and was quite lighthearted about the story that he told me. He said one day he came to the shelter and he had a blood alcohol level of 1.2. I asked him, why would you even bother to get on the bus and drive all the way out to Foothills just to find out that you're going to have to turn around and go back? He wasn't really sure at first. He kind of just sat there and he stared at me, and then he said, it's because the mustard seed is the better of the shelters, and I'd rather stay there. He said he knew that he would be sent away, but he also knew that they would talk to him. Somebody would take the time to talk to him, and they would usually feed him before sending him on his way. And then he paused for a little bit, and then we laughed together as he said, yeah, it's the food. That's why I went there. It's the food. And I've heard that a lot from the guests, actually. They really like our food, so that's a good thing. But I know it's not just the food that brings people here. I believe it's because the presence of God is here. And our guests can sense that. For some, perhaps, that are so far away from God that maybe it's just in their spirit that they sense it. But they know that something is different about this place. Psalm 34:18 tells us that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. I believe every single person, guest and staff alike, who walk through the door of the Mustard Seed are handpicked by God. It's not an accident or because the other shelters are full. Every single person that comes to the Mustard Seed has an opportunity to encounter the transforming power of God. God can use even the most difficult guests to shape us staff, to mold us, and even better us, as He's given us an opportunity to demonstrate God's love, even when we are most challenged. I have seen this demonstrated time and time again by the staff I work with. I see them endure a lot of verbal abuse, and they just handle it in such a godly manner. It just blows my mind. The Bible tells us that God has a plan for us, and every moment spent at the shelter is an opportunity to partake in what God's doing in our lives and the lives of others around us. The challenge for both the guests and the staff is to heed this call so that God can work in our lives and do His will. The words that God has continually spoken to me these past few weeks, it's now almost a couple of months, is found in the parable of the sheep and the goats in Matthew 25:31-46. In my spirit, literally, several times a day, when sometimes things were hard and challenging here, I would hear God say, Laura, when you cared for one of the least of these, you cared for me. God showed me through this verse that every time we do something for a guest at the shelter, or even a staff member, because we do need each other too, that we are doing something for Him. This parable refers to our eternal judgment. By offering our guests compassion and something as simple as food, water, and yes, even a place to sleep at night, we are ministering God's love to others. But more importantly, we are ministering to God's heart. My prayer is this will always be my motivation as I pursue a career in human services. May it also be a reminder to all of us working at the Mustard Seed that we are called by God not only to serve mankind, but we're also more importantly called to serve God. May this message, my message to you today, bless you and keep you guys. And I just want to thank everybody for bringing me on this summer, and wish everybody the best. Thanks, guys.
Jonah, can you hear me? Jonah, up?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
You can hear me? You can hear me? Yes? Okay, awesome. Okay, well, I'm one of the Red Deer interns. My name is Jonah Fox. This is my second summer interning in Red Deer, and I was just going to share a little bit about my experience here. One of the things I love about the Red Deer internship is just all the different opportunities I have to take part in. With just street level duties beyond that, I get to go to churches, set up booths, share our mission, engage in the community. I get to work with communications for events. And this is the first summer I've had the opportunity to lead Bible studies and prayer meetings with the guests. And through that, comparing that to last summer, I've noticed a huge difference in the rapport you build when you're in that position, unpacking the gospel with them, and the relationships you get to build as they come to you just throughout working your shift. And I was going to share about a couple of personal connections I made with guests through that opportunity. I was doing a Bible study, and we were talking about leadership and the importance of identifying yourself under positive leadership, specifically spiritual leadership. And after I unpacked that for them and spent some time working through it, I had a young man during while I was working the meal come up to me who wasn't a Christian, but wanted to sit down and just unpack with me the way that I influenced his life as a leader in his life, and the positive impact I've had from just who I was as a person. And I give all credit to that to God and being encouraged to live out the gospel, and just love others with grace and kindness. Working with this population this summer has just been a huge blessing for me. I appreciate everything the Mustard Seed has done. It's been so cool to just build these personal faith connections and encourage people. I think one of the most amazing parts of this is we, on a daily basis, get to work with the people that Jesus purposely sought out to do ministry with. We actually have the privilege of these people coming to us. And so through all of this, I want to encourage you all in the ministry that you're doing. It's a privilege, and I promise that as we faithfully live out the gospel together, we'll be able to change lives in this industry and with these people. And I think that's just so impactful. And yeah, God bless you guys. Thanks for this opportunity to speak.
I think they all deserve about a little round of applause, don't you? One of the things I'm always mindful at the Mustard Seed, people, I think Brittany did this to me last week. She was doing a big tour and kind of put me on the spot and asked me a question I didn't know I was going to get asked. But that happens to me a lot. And one of the questions I get asked the most often is, what do you really think is the ministry of the Mustard Seed? And sometimes we get so focused on the stuff we've got right in front of us that we do as part of our jobs that we kind of forget there's a bigger picture. And I think the call of God on the Mustard Seed in Edmonton, Red Deer, in Calgary and other places we go there is to be a light on a hill, that when we do it well, we don't just reach out and touch people's lives who are down and out or homeless or have addiction issues or mental health issues, but we actually touch government, we touch school system, we touch so many other things, and it's just an awesome opportunity to do that. And one of the really kind of cool ways we do that, and Edmonton shared some demo crew stories a couple weeks ago, and Brittany is saving me this morning, and she's going to come and share a couple of thoughts this morning about and tell you how demo crew went this year. And then we're going to close in prayer.
I get to share this morning because our summer interns finished up their last day with us yesterday. Tried to convince them to come back today, but they weren't quite ready. And not to put words in their mouth, but this was the best job that they've ever had. It's actually not too far from the truth, actually. Our interns were huge lights on our team this year, and we are going to miss them as a part of our community engagement team. But having seen them interacting with people around the Mustard Seed this summer, I also know that they're going to be missing from other people's lives too. Our interns came in and very quickly just started engaging in the Mustard Seed community. They got to know residents that I've passed by and not stopped and had conversations with, and I would be walking between meetings and seeing my interns just stopping and spending a minute just praying with a resident. Or yesterday I had lunch with one of our interns on the third floor patio, and on our way back to the elevator she just said, "Brittany, I'm just going to meet you down at the office." And she came in a couple minutes later. She's like, "I'm sorry, took a couple minutes extra on my lunch break, but like there was this resident doing laundry and I just knew that she just needed prayer, and so I just stopped and chatted with her." And those are beautiful things for me to witness as a part of what our interns bring to the Mustard Seed community. They also, as Bill mentioned, sometimes we can get really focused on our teams and what we're doing, and interns have this way of bringing fresh perspective and of coming in with fresh eyes and being those encouragers that are just like reminding us about what we are doing here at the Mustard Seed, about the bigger purpose, and reminding us that we actually get to come to work every day to a very unique place, a place where we get to have conversations about God, interleading with people's lives, and where we get to step into unique spheres of influence in people's lives. And so our interns left an impact on me this summer, and I know also kind of in this community. But that kind of unique space that Demo Crew is also is something that we have celebrated together as a team this summer. So Demo Crew, for those of you who don't remember, but if you did, come see us, and we usually give out candy as prizes. So Demo Crew stands for Demolishing Stereotypes and Demonstrating God's Love. And we do 1 week programming with church youth groups that come in, and we are focused on demolishing stereotypes about individuals that we work with, about people who are experiencing poverty and homelessness, and on equipping students to demonstrate God's love and what that means when they go back to their communities, whether their community is Calgary or Edmonton or Saskatchewan. We had some groups out from Saskatchewan this summer as well. When we start talking about highlights from some of the groups, there's big stories and the small ones, but Kelsey was reminding me this morning about one from one of our earlier weeks in Demo Crew. We had a couple students come in where, there's just students that come in where it's really clear that, like, they wanted to be here. And then there's always those couple teenagers where it's like, probably their parents signed them up and told them, like, you're going to this camp for the summer. And they came in and were not excited. They didn't want to join in any of our icebreaker games or singing and worship. And they kind of wanted to hang out at the back. And we as a team were praying for them and saw a big shift by the end of the week in that those students were connecting. They were having conversations. Kelsey actually was reminded by someone in the middle of that week, those things that we like pray for where God's working miracles and we don't even think to stop and recognize them. She came back to work the next day and said, like, look at these students that are connecting, and this is a miracle happening in front of us. That at the end of the week, this student who wouldn't even look us in the eye because they didn't want to be here at Demo Crew is coming and like hugging our staff team and just saying, like, I'm really going to miss you guys. And this has been part of changing my life. We saw students join in on worship team and be part of kind of leading some of their student groups. We had, some of those kind of awkward students where you're not sure how they're going to engage with people, and you think, like, okay, we've got this resident barbecue where we're inviting everyone in the 1010 Center to come to barbecue tonight. There's just a couple students where you're not sure how they're going to do interacting. And then you turn around and they've spent an hour chatting with a resident over burgers. And one of them pulled us aside at the end and said, you don't know me very well, but a year ago I couldn't talk to anybody, and not even other students in my youth group. And today I just sat and had a conversation with someone who's from such a different life path than me, but it impacted me so much. And I think of this person as kind of a grandfather figure in my life now, which is kind of cool to hear from a student. We take students on a prayer walk as a part of ending our Demo Crew week and go around downtown and just encourage students to just look at the community and be praying as God prompts them, and we have some prompts for them as well. I went on a prayer walk with some of the students, and we were walking on our way back from having prayed over Alpha House, and there was a woman sitting on the sidewalk with no shoes on and seeming a bit distressed, and so we stopped just to chat with her just for a moment. And as we chatted, she put her hands out in front of her like this, and I thought she was asking for money. And I said, I'm really sorry, but I don't have any money to give you. And she looked at me kind of confused, and she said, I don't want your money. I want your prayers. And so we as a group of Demo Crew students stood around, and she said, but hold my hands and pray for me. And so we got to pray for her, and students got to lead and kind of pray in some of that. Demo Crew is a cool space because it invites students into seeing some of this stuff that we can take for granted. And so it's encouraging to me to see students seeing what the Mustard Seed does with fresh eyes. But I think it's also part of this, the things that the Mustard Seed does where we are involved in transforming lives of our clients and our guests, and it's beautiful and important work. But I think sometimes we don't realize the impact that goes beyond the doors and walls of the Mustard Seed and the clients that come in. There are people who come in through a Demo Crew program or through volunteering with one of our amazing volunteer teams, or who hear stories and come in somewhere else, who go back to their communities and live differently. We hear from individuals all the time who have come and spent just a couple hours here at the Mustard Seed. I remember a phone call with someone a little while ago who said, you know, I walked my dog downtown, and I used to always be afraid of people who were on the street. And then after coming to the Mustard Seed and seeing what you were doing and recognizing the dignity of the people that you work with and the way that you treat individuals as humans. She said, I saw someone that was on the street and they had a dog with them. And so I went over and just started talking to them about their dog, and that was such a transforming moment in my life to realize that it's the Mustard Seed that encouraged me to see everybody as people, and everybody is valuable, and everybody is someone that I can just talk to, just like I talk to someone at the grocery store. We had lots of different feedback from Demo Crew students this summer, but we had one that wrote on their feedback that they were feeling really far from God before coming to Demo Crew this summer, and that in Demo Crew they encountered God in a different way. We had churches that came, 2 different church youth groups where students didn't know each other at all, and at the end of the week, those churches were planning already their next summer of Demo Crew, but planning a pre-trip where the students were going to do sleepovers at their church and hang out and go to church together because they're from 2 different cities, and connect. And we had another church where the youth pastor has only been on staff for a few weeks and said, this served as a retreat, and I got to know my students better and see their hearts and encourage them and be encouraged. And they are going to start to get engaged with youth programming at the Hub, the Neighbor Center in Marlborough Park. We had another church who's come to Demo Crew and has made us their church's local serve priority, so they'll be connecting, whether it's through events or fund development, and other kind of engagements throughout the year as a priority for their church. And those are just kind of a few snapshots. I know if we were able to chat with Edmonton and if we had been able to go through all of our surveys and evaluations and run stats, I would have more to share in that way. But this kind of theme of interns and Demo Crew students and people coming in through the doors of the Mustard Seed and being encouraged, I hope is an encouragement to you. That if today, even if all you can do is just look at your work and try and remember what you thought when you first came to the Mustard Seed, or look at it through the eyes of what would I think of this if I hadn't seen this before, and if I hadn't been exposed to all these conversations with all these amazing people. How might I be encouraged in my work today? I hope that is an encouragement to you. And I hope that you were encouraged to look for those little miracles, just like we saw that little miracle in the girls that got more engaged throughout the Demo Crew week when we've been praying for it. And those are things that are so easy to miss. But I hope that you're encouraged to look for little miracles too. So I'm going to do this.
Shirley doesn't know she's closing in prayer, but Shirley's going to close in prayer. And what I'd like us to pray for today in closing is recognize that every student placement, every young person that comes here and participates in the program, Edmonton, Calgary, Red Deer, every student placement, every intern, are people that we've had the opportunity to work with, and they become influence of change out there in the world. And I don't know how we ever would track that. I can tell you this. I can tell you the number of kids I know who did Demo Crew, who are either working in this industry, working here, right there, or they're in foreign missions fields all over the world. And Demo Crew, student placement, and internships are a massive factor in those things. And it just happens all the time, and we kind of get so used to it, we take it, it's just kind of what we do, but it's much bigger than that. So Shirley, who's going to kill me later, is going to close the prayer.